Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannie Ralston. I'm the founder of Next Tribe. I'm so happy to see you guys here. I see some familiar faces and some new faces, and that's how our trips go. We always love to have so it's like old lang syne. You make new friends and keep the old, and that's what we do on these trips. We bring together women from all walks of life, and some of them are new to us, but everyone seems to form a cohesive group. It's pretty amazing to see it in action. But we're here to talk about Portugal. And last September, we did 2 trips to Portugal because there was such demand. We had a week in between, and we've gotten such great feedback on the trip. And actually, I have Peggy Miller here. I think she can only stay a little bit, but Peggy was on the last trip. Do you just want to give a quick, because I know you probably can't stay.
Yeah.
Before we get into the presentation, maybe you can tell us what you liked
So
about the trip.
let me ask you, Jeannie, are you going to stay at the same Quinta Nova and
Oh,
do?
yes.
Okay.
Everything, yes.
So sorry I'm in a different place. I'm dog sitting, so the lighting's a little weird.
Don't worry.
If you can see me and hear me okay. So I went on this trip because I heard so many wonderful things about Portugal, that people really love Portugal, and I wanted to see why. And I heard that the Douro Valley is really beautiful. So I can't say enough about how beautifully done this trip was. Kudos to Jeannie again. And I've been on another international trip with her. It really combined the culture and the excitement and the vibe and the beauty of Lisbon, the amazing food, the amazing people. We met with women. We cooked our own meal with them at a really lovely, intimate setting, made tiles and learned a lot about the history of that. And then after a few days in that gorgeous city, we left to go to the Douro Valley. And I'd heard a lot about other people who've been on, river trips through the Douro. What I think was gorgeous is that we were up high at the vineyard, and we got to see just the gorgeous scenery around there and taste some like 5-star food for sure. It was an amazing chef, and you rested in just beauty. The place was gorgeous. We had it to ourselves. The accommodation was great. The wine harvest was beautiful. And then the boat ride along the Douro Valley was it's just intimate. You weren't with crowds. You weren't with people waiting. And Jeannie knows this. I had a foot injury before this trip, and by the 3rd day it had flared up, a serious case of plantar fasciitis, and I still hobbled through and enjoyed this incredible trip. It's really beautiful. I don't know if you have any questions about it. The weather was perfect. The guides were great. Everything about it was beyond my expectations, and I'm really glad I went this way, especially staying at the vineyard and seeing things from that perspective rather than, like a cruise on that level along the Douro. It's stunning.
Well, you were a great part of the trip, and everybody on each of these trips contributes a great spirit, and your spirit is fantastic as always, Peggy. Thank you. And I know if you can't stay, I understand, but let me show you now. I'm going to show you kind of what some of the things she was mentioning, and so you can get it to see it for yourself. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go. Let's see. You'll see I'll have a moment of just being awkward. Okay, so here, this is it's a great immersion into Portugal, from Lisbon all the way up to the wine country and into Porto, which I love. We can't cover the whole country, but I picked what I thought were the absolute best parts of Portugal. And on this coming trip in September that we're talking about, Jeannie Edmonds, who's going to be on the call in a minute, she's going to be with you on the trip, and she's been to Portugal many times. She first honeymoon was in Portugal, she told me. So anyway, she loves it. First of 3. So anyway. So here we stay. The place we stay in at Lisbon is it's on the right here, the blue building, and I love the location. It's in an area called Chiado, and it's right on a square that has a lot of history. and beauty too. I mean, one of the revolution in the 70s that freed them from a dictator took place on that square. And there's cafes there, and the hotel restaurant has a little area that's set up for dinner there. We don't eat at the hotel restaurant for dinner, but it's just nice to know that there's just restaurants in the area that use the square, and it's just a great gathering spot for everybody. And one of the first things we do is to go out on the water, because Portugal is a seafaring country. That's how it made its fame, and its history is filled with seafaring people, tales, all that kind of thing. So we get out on a boat at sunset in the harbor, and there's music. And I didn't put a picture of this, but I just couldn't help but dance. I was just dancing. It was just so lovely. The sun, look at that sun and the scenery and the fresh air and all these beautiful women, fabulous friends and new friends. So it's just a great way to start, I think. And we have, besides looking around Lisbon, we do a lot of looking around, but we have this, God, the greatest cooking class. And you can see the cook who has a knife right there. She's very good with a knife. Don't worry. But we were goofing off, and it's just fun, and great food, wine, music while we cook, and we learn a lot about the traditions of Portuguese cuisine. And we also go to a tile museum, and the tile museum Portugal's known for its tiles through the centuries. And this tile museum just has gorgeous examples. I mean, and some that aren't necessarily, elaborate. They're more like done by tradesmen or something. And they've got such a great, handmade quality. They're not necessarily perfect. You can tell that each one is done by hand. And so the day after we go to the tile museum, we gather in this little courtyard for these two sisters who teach us how to do our own tiles. Not even teach us, but they inspire us. We've already seen the tile museum, so we've got our own ideas, and they show us how to get started and how to produce certain looks, different traditional looks for the tiles. And we get to we go away with like 2 to 3 tiles that we've done ourselves. And I thought I had a picture of them in there, but anyway, they're beautiful sisters, and we just sit out in the gorgeous courtyard doing this beautiful tile making. And here we are. There's just views everywhere in Lisbon. We spend a lot of time walking around Lisbon to take in these kind of views. And this is the Alfama, the oldest neighborhood that goes back into when the Muslims had the area before the conquest, before the Crusades. So this area is very clumped together, and there's little passageways everywhere. So we have a good time running through that. And then we'll have a night of going to a fado show. And fado is the Portuguese national music, and it's kind of like the blues in a way. I mean, it's about heartache and longing, and there's some that have they talk about the sea and the sailors missing their homes and that kind of thing. So it's just a certain, just it encapsulates this beautiful kind of wistfulness so we saw a stage show, but then our guide Oscar here in the second picture on our last night in Lisbon, he actually is a very good singer, and he regaled us with our own fado performance at dinner, which was certainly unique and fun, and just great food everywhere, and a lot of fish, because again, it's right there on the ocean. That's what their history is. And we had a lot of codfish, and there's a whole story about codfish, but it comes in all these different forms and different recipes and stuff. But so it just one of the many fish that you'll be eating, the seafood that you'll be eating. So after 3 days in Lisbon, we head up the coast. Oh, there's where my picture is, in the wrong place. But anyway, that's my picture of the tile making with the sisters. The ones with the aprons are the sisters, and that's the little courtyard where we had our class. So sorry about that. It's tucked away in the wrong spot. So after Lisbon, we head up the coast, and we stop. I have a friend who lives in a town called Costa Nova, and it means new coast. And we got to go out in the water some, and we also, there's these cute little houses or little fisherman houses. We had lunch right next door to those. So again, it's really what I love or love to do on trips is to have you meet local women. And so Lita is her name, and she's become a friend of mine. And so she was there talking about her life and how, you know, what life is like for her in this area. So that was on our drive up to the Douro Valley. And then we get to the Douro Valley, which just, you know, spellbinding. I mean, it seriously is fabulous. And we stay at Quinta Nova. Peggy was talking about Quinta Nova, and there you're surrounded by vineyards, just terraces of grapes, but you have this building that was from the 1700s. This is one of the older wineries in the area, and the building has chapels from the 1700s, one near the place where we stay, and another one a walk down by the river. It's got a pool. It's extraordinary. It's a Relais and Chateau hotel. So the service, everything is just top notch. And we take the whole hotel, which is fabulous because that just allows us to relax and spread out. And people do come in, I guess, from other places to have dinner there. And we were looking at them like, oh, wait, how dare you come into our space? But it's got a very popular restaurant, and that's why people come in for dinner. And the most incredible thing we did is that we go in September. I build the trip around this wine harvest. So we go out onto the property and harvest the grape. They give us buckets and clippers, and we go and we snip, and it's really fun. I mean, you know, even if you don't like physical labor, it's just to just get a few little bunches of grape, you feel closer to your wine, which is really important. But then there's some people who wanted to could have stayed all day and just harvested, you know, the grapes, because you're out in the fresh air, you've got views, you're doing something that you know that people have been doing for generations of centuries in this same area, so that it ties you to the land and the whole history of the Douro Valley. And then we get a winery tour. We get to taste the wine as even after it's not even fermented yet. So we tour the winery, then we do a wine tasting. Extraordinary. I mean, when you're in the Douro Valley, wine is a central theme there. So we had great wines through all the meals. And I tell you, the meals at this place, at the Quinta Nova Hotel, I couldn't believe it. I mean, we had at least on the first trip of the two groups, we had quite a few. We had about 4 or 5 New Yorkers. And, you know, you think, well, nothing, you know, you can't really impress New Yorker, but they were impressed by the food. I mean, look how beautiful it was. The presentation, every meal had a different plate or servingware, and it was, you know, on the right, that's a soup, and they poured something over what's on the right there, and it became this gorgeous bubbling soup. It just nonstop. And we kept saying, this must be the chef must be like somebody, a Michelin-starred chef who's gotten older and just wanted to retire in a gorgeous spot and cook whatever he wanted and experiment. But we ended up meeting the chef, and he's this young man who just has a flair for it. And it's truly wonderful. And I just, the meals I can't say enough about. And so then because it's so hilly in the Douro Valley, we don't necessarily to go out for visits to see the area. It's best to go by boat, because otherwise the driving is just takes too long. So we get a boat organized, and we go down the river to Pinhão, which is a beautiful little town, also known for its tiles. On the left there, that's a train station, which is, you can see some of the tiles on the below the clock and on each wall. These are just the tiles represent slices of life in the Douro Valley. Of course, there's grape harvest, there's other kind of farming, there's just cooking and that kind of thing. So it's very famous for that, but also, we just walked around on the waterfront, and we had a great time on the boat. On one of the groups, we actually went swimming. We stopped and went swimming. For the other group, it was too cold, but we can judge about swimming based on how many people want to do it, and also just the weather is, if it's too, like, it was very windy, so people didn't want to get in on that day. So after the Douro Valley, we head to Porto, which is it's the second largest city in Portugal. It's up in the north, and this is the Douro River. This is where the Douro River leaves the Portugal and heads to the ocean. So Porto is right there near the ocean, and just another fabulous city. Look at all the colors and the way the buildings go up the hill. We have a walking tour that we do. We go have great food. And this time we stay at a really nice hotel right in the center of town, so it's easy to walk through. And on this trip coming up, we're going to end up, this past trip, we spent one night in Porto, but we had a lot of people wanting more time, so we're spending 2 nights in Porto. So you'll have more time to explore and see the big bridges, and there's like this on each side of the river. There's this long esplanade where people just gather, and it's outdoor cafes and that kind of thing. So there's just so much to see and do in Porto. And so after Porto, we have to leave. That's a little frowny face up there, because we don't want to leave. We're not going to want to leave, I promise. So, and this actually is me on the sailboat, kind of pretending to dance, but just nonstop fun, great women. And I mean, the people were unbelievable, and so warm. We got to meet lots of women, lots of locals on this. So we got to have experiences too. We didn't just sightsee. We didn't just tick off monuments or architecture. We from the cooking to the tile making to the grape harvest, we were in there doing things and getting a feel for what Portuguese culture is all about. So now I wanted to see if anybody had questions about the trip. The trip is September 10th through the 18th. And as I said, I focused the trip around the grape harvest. So we'll definitely be doing that again. And so it's three nights in Lisbon, 3 nights in the Douro Valley, and 2 nights in Porto. So it's a total of 8 nights. Yeah. What else can I tell you? Oh, you have to go?
I'm going to sign off, but if you have any questions, just let me know. It's really a fabulous trip, and I'm glad you added the day in Porto, because I felt like that was really short, and it was really, it's a beautiful looking city. Enjoy, y'all. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Peggy, for saying hi to us.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have some questions here? Hi, Janice.
Hi, Jeannie. I forgot someone was going to see me this afternoon. I would have gotten out of my painting clothes.
Oh, don't worry. Don't you worry. Hi, Fran.
I'm not.
So, how interested are in this trip are people?
You know, I'm really interested because I was there 2 years ago. I was in Porto and I was in Lisbon, and then I went east or west, whichever way that is, to Évora.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, but I was with a man, and so I didn't really get to do things that I wanted to do. And I thought it was beautiful there, and I loved it so much. So I'm kind of interested in going back, and it would be much more fun to go with you all.
Well, it's funny because we always say that. Of course, many of our travelers have husbands or romantic partners, but there's just something about traveling with other women that is just we try to make it feel like a girlfriend trip where it's not, we're not in lockstep all, it's not like a group tour in the traditional sense or the stereotypical sense, but because we know that women, they might want to run off and not do one thing and go off shopping or whatever. And so there's some flexibility in the schedule, and you don't have to think about what a man wants to do, because that's or doesn't want to do. Yeah, it's kind of sometimes having a man along you worry, you're so focused on whether he's having a good time, because we all know it's terrible to be with somebody and they're not having a good time at you. It's the worst. Yeah. So you're always like, la 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 la.
Are we having fun now?
Yeah. Cheer up. So any Patty, Lyle, I see, or Juliet or Katie, who else is here? Any other questions about the trip?
Okay, I don't have any.
Okay, everybody just wants to now we're going to get to the drawing. I have to write everybody's name down because I'm going to do the drawing. Hey, in the meantime, can I introduce Marcy Mitchell, who is our travel manager? Oh. Marcy, can you say hi?
Hey everyone. I know some of you from email. I put my email address in the chat, as well as the link to the trip on the website where you can book. And you can email me, travel@nexttribe.com, anytime with questions.
And I want to also introduce, we have a new person who's helping arrange trips, and it's Bren Lyon. Bren, can you say hi? She's a travel coordinator. So
hello everyone, nice to meet you all.
So you might hear from her as well. So let's see if I've got everybody's name. Patty, I'm writing Patty. I have Juliet, Franny, Janice, Patty, Katie, I thought we had somebody else. I thought we had a Debbie here. Maybe she had to leave. Okay, so here's everybody's name. You see what I'm putting them in the bowl. And hold on. They're sticking together. I want to sing. Okay. I can't see, can't see, can't see. Doodly doo, doodly doo, doodly doo. Janice.
What did I get?
You get $400 off the trip if you sign up in the next week.
Oh my God.
Well, there you go.
And because you guys are, I love seeing everybody's faces. Those of you who are on this call will get $100 off, because if you book in the next week. So there's incentive to book. And but please, we really want to hear from you if you have questions. It's a big trip, and so we understand that you have things that you want to get answers to before you book. So that's what Marcy and Bren will be helping you with.
Okay.
Janice, we may see you.
It's like I show up once a year and I won something.
That's how it happens.
I
But,
guess so.
so anyway, I want to thank everyone, and we'll have a recording of this that's available, and you can rewatch if you want. And we can also give you a link to the actual slideshow, either one. So, but anyway, let us know if you have questions, and I hope to see you in Portugal. Take care.
Bye.
Thank
Nice to meet you
you.
all. Good to see
Bye-bye.
you, Jeannie. Bye.